In this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how to drive a zero-turn mower. Specifically, I want to talk about how to make a turn without damaging your turf. I'm going to give you 3 different tips or 3 different things to consider when doing that, and then of course we're going to give you a demonstration. So let's get started right now. So maybe you just got a zero-turn mower and you want to learn how to drive it. Maybe you've been doing it for a long time. But as somebody that's pretty experienced on there, and you may question my mower upkeep here with the dirt and the grass and all that. I do clean my mower, I just didn't do it today. But I want to talk about some of the things that can cause your mower to cause more damage to turf. So first I'm going to show you the tires. So one of the things to consider, and there's a little bit of a trade-off here. If you look at these tires, these have some very aggressive tread on there. Well, that's good for traction when it comes to like holding the heel and things of that nature. But maybe the trade-off is it is going to be a little bit more rough on the turf when you go to make your turns. But we can get to how to minimize that damage here in just a second. Now the other thing I want to show you is the different kind of turf, because I think that can make a significant difference. So let me show you some examples. If you look out here where we're getting plenty of sunlight, the Bermuda grass is fairly thick, and that's what this is, Bermuda. But as you look, as we get more shaded, we're going to get underneath this tree and there's a lot more bare dirt and a lot less grass. And you see here where in that situation would the turns cause a lot more damage, because just like erosion control, if I had this thick grass on the side of a hill, it's going to help with erosion. I'm not saying lawnmower tires are erosion, but maybe you understand the point. If I had some really thin grass on the side of a hill, it's not going to hold as well when the rains come. Maybe a slightly better way to even show the difference is that I get over here closer to the edge of the yard and I've got some really thick zoysia grass. I mean, just by the appearance of it, seems twice as thick as the Bermuda grass we were just talking about, and definitely thicker than the thin Bermuda under the trees. So you're far less likely to cause damage to this turf because of how thick it is than you would a thin yard, as you see as you get over here and the grass is much thinner. So you got to be much more careful. And it may be common sense, but think about it. If the turf is wet, then that's going to be something else that's going to highly increase the damage done to the turf if you're not making your turns properly. And just to be honest with you, sometimes the ground is so soft and wet and thin grass, it's going to be very difficult not to leave any mark with the zero-turn mower. But let me just give you a few demonstrations. We're going to try maybe doing a turn in some thick turf, try it again in some thin turf, try it again maybe on a hill, and just see how it performs. And hopefully by watching this, you'll be able to pick up some tips on how to do it and how to try it on your own. Of course, you always can leave tips below. This video is sponsored by Yardbook. I've been in the lawn business for a long time, and I've been using Yardbook to run my lawn care business since 2015. If you need a software to run your business, go to yardbook.com or sign up for a free account. Now in this video, I'm not even going to turn the blades on, because the point of this is not how to cut grass. I can turn the blades on by pushing this switch up, but I just want to practice on the turning here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to head toward the camera right now, and I get down there, I'm going to make a turn, and I want you to observe the back tire that I'm pivoting on and see does it cause any damage. Now we're in some fairly thick grass when I'm doing this. Let's give it. So you see in this situation, I'm dealing with dry turf, thick grass, and it wasn't a perfect turn by any means, but it didn't cause any damage. Now let's try it again when I'm in some thinner turf and see what happens. Okay, so you can see even in that situation the front tire, which doesn't have aggressive tread on it, when the ground was a little bit soft, there's very little grass here, then I caused some significant damage, as you can see there, which is not great. Now it's going to grow back, but still that's not what we're going for. One of the things I like to say when we're making a turn is, even though this is a zero turn, you know, ideally I don't think it's great to go to the end, come to a complete stop, and then whip it around on a pivot, you know, because that's probably going to cause some damage to the turf. So in my mind, the idea here, and I'd love to hear somebody in the comments have a better way to explain this, but the idea is basically you're gonna try to keep the tires moving. You know, you don't want to come to a complete stop, whip around, and then you're straight on. So what you're going to do is kind of go through my pass here, and then I'm going to kind of make a turn. It's almost like a gentle 3-point turn with the tires still moving, as gentle as I can. Now, you might say, Jason, can't I just go out onto the driveway and make a turn? Well, sometimes there's not a driveway that you can go out there and make it on, and then even then, you're going to oftentimes leave tire marks on the driveway, even if you're being careful. So I don't know if that's necessarily advisable, especially when the grass is wet. You can leave a nasty little grass, I don't even know what you call it, grass stain on the driveway, because that wet grass goes out there and you turn and then it just grinds this green stain on there that oftentimes takes weeks to come off without a pressure washer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do two things. One, I want to try turning on a slight slope and see how that makes a difference. The idea is here is your mower is having trouble getting traction, and then the tire is just spinning, then obviously that's going to be doing something to the turf, you know, especially if you've got thin turf or wet turf. Try it on the hillside, and then we're just going to give you a brief demonstration on what I would consider to be a normal way to make a turn. Now, let me just explain one more thing before I do that. Typically, what I want to do, let's say that the yard is a rectangle, I want to make 1 to 2 perimeter passes around the yard before I start making the back and forth passes, whether you want to go, you know, straight or at an angle or vertical, horizontal, however you want to do it, it's fine. But then that gives you the room out there where you've made those perimeter passes to go straight through and to make your turnaround there. And again, we're just going to go for kind of a gentle, fluid motion turn and not a hard pivot with the tires remaining still. So let me give you a demonstration. Turning on the hill didn't make much damage there. Normally I'm going to ride that hill across the hill instead of up and down the hill. So here what we're going to do is come straight to the camera, and I'm going to practice. You see how well I do or how well I don't do, trying to keep the tires moving and not making a hard pivot. So let's see how it does, and we'll see if we leave any damage. There you have it. We made some turns, didn't cause a lot of damage. Conditions can play a big part. If you're curious, I'm a weed control fertilization person that used to mow grass, but I just mow my own yard now. So people give me a hard time sometimes when I'm on the mower. They say, Jason, you need to go back and kill weeds. You don't know how to drive the mower. Could somebody do it better? I'm sure they could. Leave the tips below in the comments. Did create a similar video 2 or 3, 4 years ago. I don't remember. So if you want to check that out, you can watch it here. If you hadn't done so, subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want resources to get out of mowing and go to weed control and fertilization like me, go to linecarelife.com and you check out the video courses available for you there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.